Wow, so many people waiting. I'm gonna let you know, I am not the type of YouTuber to show images while I do the reaction because of copyright reasons, and I rather not run into that issue at all. So if you're here expecting me to be that type of YouTuber who does that, I do not. My sincerest apologies. But for everyone else, Cohagen, Julian, and anyone else, we can go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here, and welcome back to more Solo Leveling Ragnarok. As things progress in the story, we've reached a point where the plan for Suho to gather as much people and as much power as he can for the fight against Interim continues. Park winds up talking to the heir of the Plague Monarch, named Arsha, who doesn't want to side with the Shadow Monarch, but instead opposes the heir of the Shadow Monarch and wants to help Park with his star drop to the point where she's actually perfected the formula that will allow him to take control of S-rank hunters. And later on, we see that Park doesn't waste any time testing this out as he takes over this hunter named Lee Yun-suk. And basically, that's the first S-rank hunter that he has under his thrall. Cut to a different location, and we see that not only do we have the heir to the Plague Monarch, but we also have the heir to the Monarch of Transfiguration as well, called Paya, or Pia, don't know. But it shows that these monarchs are actually directly opposing the heir of the Shadow Monarch as well, because they don't want to join with him, because they all have their own system windows that is propelling them to grow stronger. And that means not joining with the heir of the Shadow Monarch, but also defeating the heir of the Shadow Monarch as well. So that's the story we have, which means that Suho's plans of gathering all of these monarchs to become his allies has gotten a lot more complicated. So, let's see what happens in, well, episode 61. And we're here at an airport. We got people in a radio tower, in an airport tower, and they're just busy working. And someone buzzes into one of the responders. "This is KAL 472, control tower, do you copy?" "Go ahead." "Currently at flight level 350, coordinates north X, east X, over the Republic of Korea. I have a question. At our present altitude, is snowfall possible?" And the dude starts sweating a little bit, looking confused. "Above the cloud tops, it does not snow." And then we get the pilot who's going, "That's what I thought." "Then how do we explain this? Because there's a giant gate above the clouds, and from this gate, it is snowing directly on top of this airplane." Because the guy is looking kind of nervous because, well, first of all, this is a plane in motion. And the fact that it's still continuing to snow while this plane is moving means that this gate that's above them must be gigantic. I wanted to say gargantuan, but my mouth said gigantic, so I was about to say gigantuan, but it's literally, it's massive. And the pilot is looking nervous. And then the gate starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. "A gate! Gate formation confirmed over Korean airspace." "A gate? A severe blizzard is forming around the gate. At this rate, we will crash." And then all of a sudden, the signal starts to get worse and worse. "Commence an emergency land." And then it shuts off completely. The control tower team is just stricken with horror because they were just talking to these people, and all of a sudden, it's quiet. "Captain?" Solo Leveling Ragnarok, Chapter 61. And we get like this wolf beast creature. And it's launching towards someone. It's like this big werewolf type creature. Yellow eyes streaking with red light. I love that effect. You ever see that in anime or in manga where someone's eyes are glowing and then they move, but the trail of energy coming off of their eyes it just wisps around them. Like a good example would be Madara when he was looking around before beating up everybody in the during the fourth Great Ninja War. Just his eyes looking around, and it is just a yellow trail. I wonder if that hurts when it does that. Because you see the smoke coming off of people's eyes. Does that hurt? Or is that just, like, natural? I don't know. But this big old werewolf creature launches at someone. And then all of a sudden, we see lines crossing all over what appears to be cuts going all over this werewolf creature's body. And the body promptly turning into bite-sized chunks in an instant. Because and it's Suho who has taken a dagger and has sliced this thing apart. And he's just standing there, relishing in using his brand new gauntlet Greed. I forgot to try out Greed's skill again. And he's just like, no, he's all like, I forgot to try out Greed's skill again. I can feel the stat boost when I equip Greed. It's a shame I could not check the skill. Shadow item, Greed, level 11. He's already leveled up the gauntlet already. Creation rank, heroic, type, gauntlet, available stats, 20%. Attack, plus 280. Strength, plus 28. Vitality, plus 22. Agility, plus 20. Intelligence, plus 14. Perception, plus 20. Effect, active skill, Crash. Required mana, 400. Delivers a powerful blow that deals massive damage to solid structures. Damage to solid objects, plus 200%. If leveling up raises the available stats, then I should eventually hit S-rank stat thresholds. Mining the essence stones is done, so I need to wrap up before the dungeon collapses. So that means that big old werewolf creature that he just sliced apart like it was literally nothing was essentially the boss of this entire dungeon. And he's got his shadow goblins, and they are all gathering up all the stones and doing the job of a full-man team. The advantages of shadow soldiers. My shadow soldiers only last a day. If I want them permanently, I have to convert them into shadow items. Stored shadow items, 340 out of 340. I should release the stored items with low creation rank first, then recreate using the shadow soldiers I got here. And then it shows one of these goblins being basically dissipated and turned into an item. And they all converge back into Suho's shoulder. Shadow. Not shoulder, but shadow. Into a shadow. Skill. Shadow creation has leveled up. The chance of higher grade results from shadow creation has increased. And then all of a sudden, as if it was like a downward falling version of Gilgamesh's special skill. I haven't gotten too much into the Fate Order series, so I don't know the exact name of Gilgamesh's skill where he just opens up portals of countless weapons around him. I don't know what that's called. But for Suho, countless armaments, weapons, shields of all kinds all just appear all around him. Just countless amounts. He's just utterly surrounded by them all. With the skill level up, higher rank items really are dropping more often. The ratio of common items is down. Maybe I can pull heroic rank and above. Let's see what we got this time. And he's looking at some weapons, and then he looks down at one. Heroic item is nice, but gauntlets again. I only just got Greed. And he's holding up these different gauntlets, and it shows Greed for one, and another type of gauntlet item. Too bad you can't choose the appearance or heroic rank. So now he has he's got a pair of gauntlets which are apparently Manticore gauntlets. Compared with the Manticore I got just now, Greed's stat boosts seem higher. I'll stash this for now. And then there's a rumbling sound as the dungeon starts to close up around him, and Suho leaves after clearing the dungeon out. Oh, it's the same two individuals that went to go see Mr. Lee earlier on, before Park then converted him. Thanks to the association persuading the other guilds, I can keep rotating field dungeons. Even so, I've not found any Stardust factories in them. Did they anticipate my moves and relocate? And then we get one of the workers who's there, surveying the whole area. Great work, Hunter Sung Suho. For next field dungeon. And then there's a beeping sound. Emergency summons! Any hunter receiving this message must report to the Hunters Association at once. The Hunters Association? Did something happen? Then we cut to the association, and we have Choi, we have Lim Tae-gyu, we have Bake, we even have Ma, Big Man Ma, who's still wearing his old gi again, and they're all inside of the meeting room. All the guild masters who represent Korea in one room, and I'm the only A rank, or maybe that is why I was called. Park Jong-soo, A rank hunter, head of the Knights Guild. You all know why we were urgently summoned, right? Baek Yoon-ho, S-rank hunter, head of the White Tiger Guild. Most likely because of the gate that appeared over Korean airspace. Choi Jong-in, S-rank hunter, head of the Hunters Guild. So this is to decide ownership of the gate. Lim Tae-gyu, S-rank hunter, head of the Fiend Guild. Then our Myeongseong Guild will take this one. Ma Dong-guk. I really hope I said that right. Ma Dong-guk. S-rank hunter, head of the Myeongseong Guild. Come to think of it, I heard good news from your side, Master Lim. You signed S-rank hunter Lee Yoon-sok, did you not? No matter how much we tried, that stubborn man would not come over. How did you convince him? It was not me. Hunter Park Dojin made it happen. I am just fortunate to have good people. And it shows Choi just kind of lamenting over the fact that he couldn't get Lee Yoon-suk to join his side. But we all know the reason why Lee accepted getting into the guild. We all know why. Nefarious. And then someone bursts in, and it's Suho. Sorry I'm late. I was clearing a field dungeon on the way here. Sung Suho, S-rank hunter, unaffiliated. S-rank hunter Sung Suho. Well, if it is not, some of the way this grammar is kind of written in this one is kind of throwing me off because I'm used to saying, isn't rather than is not, because it says, well, if it is not Master Sung, good to see you. So maybe it's maybe it's just me, my grammar particulars. It just might be me, but I'm just going to say isn't instead of is not. Well, if it isn't Master Sung, good to see you. Huh? I'm not a master. Hunter Sung Suho, you're unaffiliated, correct? If you join our Knights Guild, I can promise the best treatment. How about coming up with our Myeongseong Guild instead? And then Choi's looking back, bead of sweat, going, that's a familiar situation. I appreciate it, but I'll pass. I have no plans to join any guild. And he says that with a bit of a meekish smile on his face. And then both Park and Ma just get disappointed that Suho refused them. And then Suho sits down and he sits right next to Choi going, hello. Decisive as ever. Looks like I'm the only one here without a guild. Maybe founding one would make recruiting easier. I should consider it. And then the door opens and it's Wu. And Wu has like a very pensive look on his face. Master Wu, you're late. Also, you don't look well. Stomach trouble or something? My apologies. It took some time to organize the materials. And yeah, there's something going on with the grammar for this particular chapter, because I'm reading it from Tapas, which is one of the official places where you can read this from, because the word took has an E on the end. They normally don't have E's on the end. And when I say normally, I mean 100% of the time. But my apologies. It took time to organize the materials. Thank you all for answering the association's summons. Wu Jinchul, A-rank hunter, president of the Hunters Association. As you may know, a gate manifested over Korea's airspace yesterday. The passenger jet in flight that first spotted it was swept in the mana and crashed, causing heavy casualties. Oh no, that's actually sad. I was kind of wondering if they just went through the gate itself, but no, they actually crashed. And they lost people. That is way worse than I was expecting. We immediately dispatched selected A ranks to measure the gate's mana, and confirmed readings far beyond an A rank gate. We therefore classify the aerial gate as S rank. And this gets everyone's attention. An aerial gate that's S rank? It gets bake, it gets ma, it gets park in the back. And Suho's going, S rank? Since the Great Cataclysm, is this the first S rank gate to appear? What we feared has come to pass. Huh? Hunters with past life memories looked this rattled. Oh no, this is Suho going, hunters with past life memories look this rattled. Because it shows Leem and it shows Choi both sweating and slightly trembling because they remember their past lives. They also remember the insane things that happened during Jin's time as being pretty much the world's strongest hunter, leading up to, basically all the monarchs coming in, and then Antares as well. They know what it's like to see this amount of power. Is an S-rank gate really that dangerous? Not only that, but remember, Kamish was a thing as well, and that was a big problem too. Let's not dismiss Kamish. Still, if we prepare together, we can do it, can we not? And then Beru sweeps in. That will be difficult, young master. No matter how many you gather, this force amounts to crumbs for ants. Beru! So that's the rumored summon of Hunter Sung Suho. And then Ma flinches. And then he starts trembling all of a sudden. And he starts shaking. Why is my body shaking like this? And then Suho just bashes Beru over the head, going, Beru, who do you think you are, stirring everyone up like that? Get back in, now! I, Beru, know this better than anyone, young master. In the previous world, the one commanding the S-rank gate was... And it shows... it shows Beru back in the day, before he became a shadow soldier. In the previous world, the one commanding the S-rank gate was none other than me, Beru. Oh, so we're just gonna end on that note. Oh, so Beru's comparing the scope and power of this gate to his time as the Ant King before Jin beat him. Okay. That's the end of the chapter. All right. Everyone is having a blast with Suho's weapons, items. I always wondered if Jeju Island was an S-rank gate. It seems that way. It definitely seems that way. I mean, given how so many people died during the first, second, and third Jeju Island raids, and they even lost people as well, and even S-rank hunters couldn't even bring it down. I imagine that, yeah, it was exactly that. An S-rank gate. And it became even more so when the Ant King was around, because Japan lost so much of their team, even one of their top people. Yeah, just thinking about the events of Jeju Island, my goodness. And now you're telling me that this gate that's over Korean airspace, it's not even on the ground. It is literally in the air. Not everyone has ready available means of just flight. It takes time. You ever been in a VTOL before? You ever been in a helicopter before? They don't go from 0 to 100 on a dime. That takes time. And especially if you're getting like a whole bunch of hunters together, it takes time to mobilize a big group in the air. Planes take a while to fly. They gotta get room. They gotta get situated. Things have to be done in order to ensure that the airspace is clear so that nothing goes bad going even up there. It's different from when you have to mobilize on the ground. Oh, some people are capable of either just jumping there or running there or using cars. Means that are far less destructive if an entire helicopter or plane is attacked in the air itself. The world doesn't have a bunch of safety nets just waiting to catch people if something bad happens in a plane. So you can understand just how much more dangerous a gate in the sky is compared to the ground. The last time we had a gate in the sky was literally when Yuri Orlov tried to cover the gate that was over in Japan where the giants came out, and Yuri was, I want to say, if I'm remembering this correctly, someone correct me if I'm wrong, Joker got eaten by a giant because there was a gate over Japan. Or was the gate near the ground, but it was just a gargantuan giant gate on the ground in Japan? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But having a gate in the air, it complicates mobilization a little bit more. Because one, you are left at the mercy while in the air. You don't know if anything that can fly is living in that gate. And then if it can fly, you are essentially sealed inside of this metal construction that, if destroyed, if not everyone is capable of surviving a fall from the sky, it could very well mean the loss of many people. So understand that a gate opening up in the air represents a far greater danger than one that's on the ground. Mind you, dungeon breaks exist, yada yada, but having one in the air, there's a lot more groundwork that needs to be done. Giant gate on the ground. Yeah, okay. So that makes this like the first gate that we see that is open up in the air. But the thing that makes this an even greater concern is the fact that Beru himself is saying, like, this is comparable to the time when, let me go back and read his exact words. In the previous world, the one commanding the S-rank gate was himself. It was himself commanding the S-rank gate from back then. Literally the gate of Jeju Island. And now you mean to tell me that we have a gate now? Flip2, my friend, it is good to see you. We just got done with today's chapter, and it's looking quite well. But the thing that's concerning to me is the fact that the one that was commanding the S-rank gate from back in the day, back in the previous timeline, was Beru himself. And so many people lost their lives when the Ant King was active. Ryuji Goto was gone, some of his team was gone, not all of them, but some of them just got wiped out as if they were basically nothing. And Goto was essentially the top S-rank hunter of Japan, and he was dealt with as if he was an E-rank. That's how strong Beru was back then. And even then, this was before he gained the powers of Min Byung-gu and started beating up on all the Korean hunters before Jin showed up. Before he gained self-healing and regen magic and stuff. I knew something was on my nose. So, whatever is commanding this gate, whatever lies inside of this S-rank gate, is probably as strong as Beru was back then. And Jin was literally only saved because right before Beru stabbed him in the face and was very close to killing him, his mutilation skill leveled up, and that allowed him to turn the tables on Beru and allow Jin to, get his bearings back and then bring him down. So, now the question is, what lies inside of that gate to be regarded as an S-rank? Could this be seen as another Kamish event? A great calamity? Could this be a superior creature or being inside that threatens all of humanity over the Korean airspace? Will this call on the attention of someone incomparable to strength of Thomas Andre in order for this thing to be subdued? Because we haven't seen any S-rank gates over in the previous timeline. We've seen some strong gates, but not S-rank level ones. Pretty much the only one that we know of was just, the Jeju Island one. And that was about it. And that can be regarded as such with Beru at the helm. So, this is interesting. But another thing is the fact that Lee Yun-suk has been recruited into the Reapers Guild because of Park, which we all know is mainly because Park intends to have an S-rank infiltrate inside of this guild, so that way he can have access to even more S-ranks. And mind you, since we know that the star drop, the improved star drop, is capable of turning S-ranks, having an S-rank at his disposal in this guild will make it easier for him to try and wrest control from Lim, because I feel like it's going to happen. I feel like he's going to try and wrest control of the guild from Lim, either try to take him over or try to take it over by force by having another S-rank on his side, and then use that as a way of leverage in, making things go more in his favor while he's at the Hunters Association. Because no one else realizes that he's the apostle that everyone is gathering strength to fight against. So that's happening a little bit in the background. Who knows how long he's going to stick to that. I was actually surprised to not see a continuation of the Monarchs. I'm actually surprised. Well, we did see multiple S-rank gates in the previous world. Flipdo, let me tell you this. It's been a hot minute. If I say I don't see no I don't remember any S-ranks or remember seeing them, it's because I forgot. Because I haven't reread Solo Leveling in so long. So if I missed any S-rank gates in the previous timeline, please forgive me. Because I don't remember every single detail about Solo Leveling that happened. I'll probably have to go through them again because I got some of the comics, some of the paperback comics. I need to get the rest of them, the ones that I'm missing. But it's been such a long time since I've actually read through them. The Japan Gate was S rank. Okay, so I knew it was S rank. I knew that was S rank because of just how strong it was. Yuri Orlov was so sure that his barrier abilities would be able to contain it, and the moment he tried, it broke as if it was nothing. So yeah, that was an S rank gate. Yeah, it's coming back to my recollection. Thank you. So yeah, it's been years. It's been years since I reacted to those chapters. Good times. Before I ran into issues with the publishing team that apparently had an issue with me. But yeah, good times. But what I want to know is, what could be inside this gate that warrants it being seen as S rank? Mind you, Suho hasn't reached the level of power that Jin has to the point where he could contend with literally anything and everything if he wanted to. This is before Bellion. Oh, right. I forgot about Bellion. See, many of us love Beru so much, but then we forget that the Grand Marshal, which is the highest rank out of everybody, he exists. I forgot about Bellion. My biggest concern here isn't either a commission or a Beru level gate, but this being something akin to the only two other times we've seen gates of this size and in the sky. Flipdo, I was just explaining how dangerous it is for a gate to be in the sky because mobilization for it is going to be trickier because it's in the sky. It's not as simple as just like walking through a gate with a whole group of S ranks. You literally need to have transportation in order to get there. So there's a lot of extra legwork that needs to be done in order to even get to this gate in the first place. It's not like they can make a ladder or an elevator or just launch people up there with a cannon or anything. There's also the added difficulty of the fact that these gates are airborne. So that adds even an additional danger. Because we have the S rank gate of Jeju Island, And then we have the S-rank gate of Japan, of which the giants came through. That's only recently that we've seen, in our knowledge, of course. We don't see too many of them. So giant S-rank gates in the sky, and it has to be somewhere snowy, snowlands related, because it was snowing directly on top of this plane. That shouldn't be possible because they were above the clouds. The Belion Gate, yeah, that's one. The Antata's Gate, that's two. And the Monarch of Beginnings Gate from Japan. Yeah, wasn't his name, it started with a G. The giant monarch. The leader of the giants. It started with a G. I forget his name. He was the one that didn't want anything to do with Jin, but then Jin killed him because he was going to be an issue. But yeah, we have the Belion Gate, and it was Belion just announcing himself to Jin, saying like, yes, the rest of your army is here. Mind you, Jin already had a substantially large army of shadow soldiers during this time, but as soon as we got Belion, Belion says, yeah, here's the rest of your army. And it was dragons upon countless soldiers, including soldiers that were basically turned rulers as well. And you got Belion saying like, yes, here's the rest. And it was literally an endless army. Legia, thank you! It had a G in it. Let me say that. It had a G in it. Legia, Monarch of Beginnings, King of the Giants. Thank you! Because when I was reading this, before I started reading the more official sources, it had his name as like Regia. But Legia. Yeah, Legia. But yeah, Belion's Gate and Tadez's Gate, of which he basically nuked all of Canada, and the Monarch of Beginnings for Legia in Japan, of which Yuri Orlov tried his best to showcase that his barriers could not be broken by any means. Then it proceeds to be broken by one singular mean, and Yuri Orlov, the greatest hunter in all of Russia, gets eaten right then and there on the spot as if he was nothing. Maybe it's the Frost Monarch. I was thinking as well that it could be, what if it's the Snow Elves? What if it's this timeline's and this universe's version of Baruka? But far stronger, since it's like an S-rank gate. Not like a double dungeon, but an S-rank Baruka. Or, like you say, the Frost Monarch. Jin didn't manage to get the Frost Elf he could talk to, but Suho has been getting everything Jin hasn't. That's true. Okay, it's just a message. I really hate what the manhwa did to Yuri Orlov. It was hilarious to me. Oh yes, nothing can beat Yuri Orlov's barriers. It is the strongest barrier. And he was so filled with bravado when he was showcasing what his barriers could do, and so sure that everything was gonna go smoothly. And then his barrier gets broken, he's all like, huh? Impossible! This is impossible! And then he gets eaten. So to me, it was actually hilarious to see that happen. But that's me. But I am, once again, concerned about what could lie inside of this gate for the gate to be essentially airborne. Baruka and Kamish are my picks for Frost and Destruction Monarchs. Ooh, because Jin couldn't turn Kamish into his own personal shadow, literally thinking that he could have a calamity-sized event be in his thrall. Too much time had passed, because it would have worked if Jin was around the time when Kamish was being fought and he got brought down by Thomas Andre. But too much time had passed. So maybe there could be an opportunity for Suho to pick up where his father failed. Get a little Kamish of his own. Get a little personal calamity of his own. But also, I hope it's the Frost Elves, because the first encounter with them wound up having the Frost Elves just basically massacred, including their leader Baruka. But in contrast to that, it'd be interesting to see if Suho can get like the heir to the Frost Monarch on his side through this gate. Maybe it's the snowfall coming through it that's kind of leading me in that direction, and how likely it could be that the Snow Elves make a reappearance once again. But that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel about where this could possibly go. Now, another thing I'm concerned with, and once again I say that I'm really surprised that we didn't continue with even a little bit of the extra air of the Monarchs and what they're going to be doing, but at least we know why they're doing what they're currently doing. At least the Monarchs who haven't joined with Suho, because they got a little system of their own. And you guys have brought up the fact that maybe this is the system, the Architect's way of getting back at Jin, because Jin literally broke everything he tried to do. So maybe this is the system's way of getting back at Jin by making it so that all of his previous foes, their heirs, have a system so they can become stronger, so that their chances of joining up with Suho get lessened by the fact that they'll be so strong. Maybe. In the light novel, Yuri Orlov's ability was so impressive because his ability used the power from the gate itself to seal it, but it was so strong his maybe he couldn't take it. The manhwa used crystals, so yeah. I haven't made it that far in the light novel because I'm currently reading the light novel right now. I'm reading it like 3 chapters at a time, and I've been uploading it to my Patreon every 3 days. So I haven't made it that far as Yuri Orlov. As it stands right now, people are talking about the Jeju Island raid. Jin just beat Baron, and the last I saw was essentially Jin's mom waking up in the light novel. The architect should be alive. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my people's done brought it up that what if it's the architect trying to get back at Jin by doing this? Because the only way that these people have a system is because the architect exists. But theirs is red. It's not like, ooh, good person blue and good person purple. No, it's evil person black and red. It is Sith colors. So, yeah, think about that. The architect might be pulling some strings as well. I wouldn't even be surprised if the architect is steering these other heirs in the direction of aiding Iterim just to make things even harder for Jin and his heir. You know, revenge is a dish best served cold sort of thing. I don't know. But that's just my assumption. I feel like, and we came to the conclusion that maybe the architect has something to do with this, and he has a stake in this as well, and probably why he's convincing, probably why the monarchs are being convinced that it's better to join with Iterim than the heir of the Shadow Monarch. Seems like something the architect would put into play due to the fact that Jin basically showed him his behind multiple times during that one fight during the return to the God Statue dungeon. But that's just my assumption. That's just my assumption. Overall, quite the interesting chapter. That's what I'll say. Quite an interesting chapter. An S-rank gate has opened up and Suho hasn't even reached the fullest extent of his power yet, let alone allowed Baru to gain enough power for him to return back to his original size. So, because how long was it before Jin came face to face with an S-rank gate? How strong was he by the time he came to his first S-rank gate? I was thinking that the original system was meant to take over Jin's body, so the system might be lying to them. My guess would be why eventually they'll join up with Suho. Yeah, because Jin wasn't like having the whole allow yourself to be taken over by the Shadow Monarch because that's what I've built all of this stuff for. And Jin was all like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. And that's the reason why the architect was all like, how dare you! I'm going to kill you! Get sliced into pieces and beaten into the ground. So, if the architect is trying to do the same thing here, because if he's, ooh, you actually bring up a good point. Because if he tried to turn Jin into the next Shadow Monarch by having his body taken over by the Shadow Monarch, who's to say that he's not trying to have the heirs of the previous monarchs be taken over by their previous versions? So, whoever is the heir of Antares, what's to say that the architect doesn't want this heir to be just taken over and subsumed by Antares? But then again, when you think about it, that's probably not how it's going to work because Jin literally spent those 27 years killing every single one of those monarchs to ensure they never even threatened the current timeline. So I have to correct myself there. Jin literally killed the other monarchs on his own, by himself, to ensure that they couldn't have any effect on the world itself overall. He just all like, nah, I'm gonna make sure you guys can't even get here. So I almost kind of forgot about that too. So much for that idea. Never mind. Never mind. I'm correcting myself live. I hope we see the double dungeon because the god statue would be pretty cool to see again. It'd be funny if the god statue sees Suho and then sees Jin and be all like, oh no, go god, not you again. Oh me, not you again. That would be interesting to see. But we're gonna have to see where the next chapter points to. But overall, this was a pretty decent chapter, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Well, Ashburn also died. That's why the architect tried to take over Jin. That's true. Ashburn was already dead. So maybe that actually is the plan, trying to get the previous monarchs to subsume and take control of the bodies of the heirs. Maybe that's the plan. But I don't know. I'm just speaking off in the left field here because it sounds nice. We'll have to see. Overall, pretty decent chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Flip2, Julian, Cohagen, and everyone else who tuned in here today, it is an honor and a privilege to be your entertainer. Thank you for stopping by. That's where I'm going to call it for today. We're going to have a nice relaxing session of Power Wash Simulator a little bit later on this afternoon. So I hope to see you all there. Because since I already beat Marvel Cosmic Invasion, because I thought I was going to be able to cover it throughout the entirety of this month, and I beat it in like literally a day and some hours. Well, I want to say less than 24 hours total. Yeah, this will just be a moment where I just dedicate streams and videos to you guys, and I'm looking forward to what we can accomplish in the year 2026. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even check out my Patreon because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples!